Welcome to the Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. In this show, we talk to leaders of clubs and interesting folks who live here in the Villages to get perspectives of what is happening here in the Villages, Florida. We are a listener-supported podcast. There will be shout-outs for supporters in episodes.
This is Mike Roth. And listeners, I'm thrilled to share with you this podcast, which is my passion project for you. This podcast brings you knowledge, inspiration, and a lot of things that people need to know about the Villages and the people living here. Be sure to hit the follow button to get the newest episode each week. Creating this podcast is a labor of love, even though it demands more time I can easily spare. Now, here's where you come in. You can help us keep the podcast alive and thriving. How? By becoming a supporter. The easy way for you to support us is to visit our podcast webpage, openforuminthevillagesflorida.com, and click on the supporter button at the top of the page, or the purple supporter box. Even a small donation of $3 to $10 a month makes a big difference, and you can cancel your subscription at any time. Your support means the world to us. Stay curious, stay inspired, and keep those headphones on. I hope everyone enjoys today's show. This is Mike Roth on Open Forum in the Villages, Florida. I'm here today with author Jennifer Perkins. Jennifer, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Jennifer is a former educator and a lifelong book enthusiast. She believes in power of storytelling to ignite imaginations and inspire young minds. You're an elementary school teacher, Jennifer?
I taught kindergarten for a year outside of the Villages. I was asked to come back, but then I moved. So there went that career.
How many years were you a teacher?
1 year.
1 year?
For kindergarten. I did a half year and this is all in Brevard County. I did a half year as a third grade teacher.
Then you moved to the Villages?
Yep.
How many years ago?
It's been almost a year, just about over a year.
Okay, so that raises the question, what did you do before you were a teacher?
A lot of different jobs. I was a waitress at one point too, many years ago.
Okay. And you like walking on the beach?
Yes, I do.
Where is the best place to that you get your ideas for stories?
People ask that, and I think reading the news or seeing something out in public, and people don't like to know that they're being listened to, but conversations that you overhear in a restaurant or elsewhere could be fun.
Okay, so you've been known to hang out in Starbucks near the beach.
It could be.
That's good. That's good. Jennifer, as a writer, and how long have you been writing books?
It seems like forever. I love books, but back in high school, I dabbled, and being green and not knowing what I was doing, I took my mother's recipe book and I copied a whole bunch of recipes and sent it off to editors, not editors, but publishers, and I got a lot of rejections. I was discouraged, and I told my mom about it, and she goes, "My recipes are copied from books." The copyright issue.
Oh, that's a problem.
But I've been just writing stories here and there, and I recently got very serious about it.
Okay. And do you have a routine that you get into for writing? Some people have a special room in their home or...
Right. I write wherever and whenever possible. I have a notebook in my car where I make notes. If I see something that I think would be a good story, I just jot it down. Or if something comes to mind, I've been known to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, go to my office and make notes, so I don't forget it.
That's a good idea. Sometimes we have our best ideas when we're sleeping, and we can use them when we wake up. It can save a lot of time.
Yeah, but I do have long hours. I wake up at 4, and sometimes I go to bed at 10 or a little later, and I write when I can. And that all authors write when they can.
How did you know, or when did you know that you wanted to be an author?
Like I said, I'm dating myself here, but way back when, I just liked creating stories and just writing down different things. But I got serious about it when I joined Romance Writers of America in Connecticut. And then when I moved here to Florida, they have a chapter or have a chapter. We just affiliated, but I'm still with that group. And I also joined Sisters in Crime. I just love creating stories.
Sisters in Crime. Does that mean you write crime mysteries?
I do, actually. Right now I have 2 published picture books, children's picture books. And that's under Jennifer Perkins, but I am creating a new genre of mystery and suspense, which will come out under a different pen name. Because from what I've been told and what I've seen, parents don't like to pick up or even see on your Amazon page books about gore and killing and shooting people along with their picture books. They don't go together.
Children's books and murder mysteries are probably 2 different genres, probably 2 different names.
I'm creating a science fiction for middle grade students. So that is, I'm writing it, and I do like the way it's coming out.
Good, good. You say it's a picture book. How did you pick the illustrator for your book?
Can't draw to save my life. If I drew a stick figure, you would say, what is that? That's what I had to do. For the illustrator, I had to specifically say what I wanted to see in the picture. And the illustrator changed the picture, but I agreed with it. She just saw something in what I wrote that she felt could be helpful to me. And so I really appreciated that.
So where did you find the illustrator?
I went to Fiverr, and there are...
Fiverr.com.
Yes. There are American illustrators on there and illustrators from throughout the world. Unfortunately, I love the American illustrators. Unfortunately, they start at $3,000. And being a brand new author, just getting my feet out there, my foot wet in writing, I decided we'll have to take a chance with somebody else who's not an American. My illustrator is from Pakistan, and I know that's not everybody's preferred place for illustrators, but she's fabulous. We do have a good rapport. She's actually my second illustrator.
What happened to the first one?
I fired her.
That's a good idea.
And she actually threatened to sue me because she was late on her pictures, and she wouldn't respond to my emails. When she did respond, she goes, "Oh, hey, I made a TikTok video for you of your book. If that's not what I asked for, I really wanted my pictures." So I canceled the contract.
Was that a Pakistani?
Yes. So I did cancel the contract, and she said, I have to pay her for the TikTok video. And I said, I didn't ask for that. And it was choppy. And I said, I'm not going to pay for it. And she said, I know some New York, people in the New York law offices, and it's okay, sue me. But she didn't. We parted ways, and my second illustrator, I just absolutely love.
I'm glad you found someone you like.
My first book came out in February, and we're done. She did everything that she had to, and rightfully, I shouldn't have to come back to her to make changes under the same price point that she gave me, but I could, and she would do that for free.
Oh, that's very nice. I actually now strongly believe in AI for illustrators. Okay, my new podcast logo is purely AI.
I love it. I'll have to take a look at that.
Oh, yeah. You can play with them, and of course, there's dead zero. It's just your time. And if you've already written out the description of what you want it to be in your illustration, the AIs will give you almost exactly what you want.
That's true. I'm not sure how Amazon will look at that, though. I know they have that question, did you create this with AI? So I don't know where they're going with that.
Yeah, they'll never figure it out. That's my opinion. Okay. What advice would you give to an aspiring author?
Oh, to an aspiring author, I would give the same advice that I was given. Write consistently. That's one thing. If you're going to call yourself an author, just write and have a schedule. Treat it like a job, because if you don't, people say it's a very expensive hobby. Correct. And that's what I was told. However, I think since I don't have a pension, I'm hoping to make this my pension. But
have you been successful in selling a lot of books?
I have. Yeah, surprisingly, and I don't advertise. I've just done all social media, along with all my book sales. That I received the report from Ingram Spark. They said I sold 2 books in the UK and 1 in Germany. So I can say I'm an international author. I thought that was exciting to see.
Do you have any approximate idea of the number of books that you sold?
I don't. I will be looking at that later this year when we're looking at our taxes. So I will be going through and seeing exactly how many. But I went to 2 book fairs and I did sell successfully there. The second book fair was at a library in Palm Bay. And loved the library. That's where I used to send my students when they needed information. Unfortunately, this is the library's first time. They didn't set it up where if you wanted to see other authors, they didn't know where the authors were. I was lucky. They set me up right in front of the children's area, and I was one of the authors there who sold.
Good. Why don't you tell us about your next book that you're working on?
My next book. I have a lot of different genres that I'm working with, and I know I shouldn't do that. I should stick with one, but I get these ideas and I have to get them down on paper. So along with my children's picture books, I do have another one that is going to be coming out in 2025, later in the year. And along with that, with my children's middle grade sci-fis, I'm also working on romantic suspense. And that one, my romantic suspense is not complete. It's almost. But that one I did final in the Daphne Demure contest with Romance Writers of America, their Kiss of Death chapter. That was exciting.
That's the name of the chapter, Kiss of Death.
Yes.
Sounds like a novel's title.
It could be.
When you're writing these novels,
yes,
you have to put a different cap on than the children's books.
That's true.
Is there something you do to flip your mind into the adult novels genre as opposed to the children's book?
Since I have so many different other genres that I'm working with, because I do have a cozy mystery that is completed and I'm going through the edit. I just reread them and I think about if this happens, how can I extend the book? I think it's easier to write mysteries and murder mysteries rather than straight romance, because if you are looking for a conflict in the book to extend it, you just put in another body.
Yeah, okay. The most successful writer I think that we've had on the podcast has written a series of more than 25 romance novels.
Oh, okay.
And he uses 2 different pseudonyms.
Oh.
And some of them were published through a publishing house, and some of them had the second pseudonym, so she could self-publish.
Oh, okay.
So are you mainly self-published?
For my cozy mystery, I did have a New York agent who asked to see the full, and she loved the book.
Mm-hmm.
She said it was a fabulous book. She loved the writing. However, my cozy mystery is quilting themed. And she said at the time, there were way too many sewn and quilting mysteries. So she didn't think it would sell based on the volume that was already out there.
And in changing the subject a little bit, if you could give some advice to the 25-year-old Jennifer, based on what you already know, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
I just take it seriously. When I started, like I said, I was dabbling, and I just thought anybody could write, and which they can. Anybody can put something out on Amazon. And I've even had one of my relatives say, oh, my husband writes nice letters. They can be a writer. It's not really. I would have studied craft earlier, because you really should study the craft of writing and read everything, not only in your genre that you're writing, because it could spark an idea for one of your other genres.
So how many adult...
A completed romance, a completed cozy mystery, and I'm going through editing and continuing to write my suspense.
Have you converted the completed novels to Audible books?
I have not. They're not out on the market yet, so I do have to get those out there. My problem is that when I write, I edit as I write, and that can slow down my writing process. And I've been told just get it out on paper, but it's really hard to turn off the inner editor in my.
Good. Let's take a short break and listen to Dr. Craig Curtis give us an Alzheimer's tip. Dr. Curtis, can you give our patients a tip on keeping their brain healthy?
Absolutely. My favorite tip involves a change in eating patterns, but it's not a drastic change. It's simply increasing the amount of fresh fruits and vegetables, fish, other white meats, and lowering the amounts of red meat, sweets and sugars, and also carbohydrates. It's essentially following a Mediterranean-type diet plan.
With over 20 years of experience studying brain health, Dr. Curtis's goal is to educate the village's community on how to live a longer, healthier life. To learn more, visit his website, craigcurtis.com, or call 352-500-5252 to attend a free seminar.
Thank you, Dr. Curtis. Now, what is your favorite novel or movie, Jennifer?
I love the movie Clue. It's a mystery movie where you try, and I have the game Clue as well.
A lot of us as kids had the game.
Yeah, which came from the movie. But you get to think about who the person is, who the bad guy is, and there are so many different scenarios. And the movie itself had 3 different endings, which I thought was amazing. I would like to write something like that, but I have so many other books I'm writing. We'll see. I am an extreme introvert. And some people had said, oh, we don't see you like that. It's like, yeah, it put me in a room with a bunch of strangers. I step back. I just look at the people. I see what their interests are. And it's good for writing, too, because you have to watch people and see if you want to put them in your book as a character.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. But yes, I am an extreme introvert. And doing a podcast is really for me, putting myself out there.
Okay. One of the things I think most beginning authors don't understand is that if you're going to have your books on Amazon and hope people buy them, probably won't happen because there are 2 million new books a month.
No, true.
Okay. So you actually have to sell your book, and it's in a world where people have to buy. So you're going to use social marketing.
Yes. Marketing myself. And actually, even traditional authors nowadays, they have to market too.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, no publisher, no agents, they do not market for you. You have to market yourself. And as you said, with so many books out there, so many coming on the market, and with Amazon where anybody could put a book out, you have to really be a marketer.
So what's your strategy for using marketing to sell your novel?
If I told you that, everybody would use it. So I think I'm going to keep that one to myself.
Okay. Maybe you can tell our listeners what your favorite quote is.
Favorite quote?
Yes, being a writer, you must have read a lot of books and you must have a favorite quote.
Romantic suspense, and I really love her books. And Melinda Lee as well. There are certain authors that I study their writing process, I study their books to see how they describe characters, how they describe setting, etc. And what is it about their books that readers do enjoy. Kristen Painter is a fabulous author for paranormal. And I would love to I am studying her books. And actually, she's somebody who is in my writers group in Brevard. I'm excited to
So that's
to follow
unusual
her.
to go to a writers group in Brevard when you live here in the Villages.
I know. It's 2 hours away. Yeah, but there is another author who lives in DeLand, and she drives just as far. And we have our group in Brevard, and there are fabulous critique groups and other groups in the Villages. But when I came to Florida, I found them, and it seems like home, being with those authors, and we're all friends, and they're having a great Christmas party in December that I'll probably go to. So it's just a fun time.
Okay. People are listening to this, you're talking about December 2024.
True.
And most people are going to be listening in February 25.
I will say, even though I'll miss putting in a plug for my children's books for Christmas, there's any holiday and birthdays, picture books are fun. In picture books, everybody says, what's the message? What do kids learn? What do they have to learn? Some of mine are in rhyme, so it learns repetition, and children need to learn how to rhyme when they're in school, play with words. But as far as like a message, should they behave, whatever, I like to have, children need to have fun. My books are fun.
So do adults, by the way.
That's true. You would be surprised. There are adults who like children's picture books, and I have had a few people who bought my books because they love children's picture books. So and that was interesting.
How many pages are your children's picture books?
34.
And
About the same.
about 30. So you got a lot of pictures.
There are a lot, which is why I love my illustrator, because yes, my books are picture intense, if you will, but she's reasonably priced. So that's why it was affordable for me to do that.
Good. And if they want to get copies of your children's books, what's the best way for them to find your books?
Look me up as Jennifer M. Perkins. I didn't include my middle initial at first, but when I looked up my name, there's a famous blogger on HGTV with the same name. So I had to distinguish myself, which is why I put the M for my middle name. So Jennifer M. Perkins on Amazon, but if you look it up, you can order it from Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, anywhere online.
You have a website where they can...
I do. If you look up Jennifer M. Perkins, with the M, of course, or they can send me an email, and they can actually request books from me, authorjmperkins.com.
And if someone has a question for you as an author,
I do. Can send me an email and actually request books from me, authorjperkins@gmail.com. It won't get lost. I do look at it. Believe it or not, I have thousands of emails that I still have in my inbox, but for specific reasons. I have not deleted them yet, but I do look at every single email. So if somebody has a question or wants to chat with me, your email will not be lost.
And if you could give aspiring authors one piece of advice based on your experience so far, what would that be?
It's not a sprint to the finish line. You have to bide your time. Yes, the Harry Potter books were like an instant success almost, but J.K. Rowling also went through the getting rejections. So you will get rejections, and you can't take it personally. And don't let your family and friends read your books and give you advice on that, because they are probably not the ones, unless you have author friends, they're not the ones involved in the process. Yeah, family and close friends will say, oh, I love the book, there's nothing wrong. You go to an editor and say, oh, all those red marks all over the page. And I would definitely look up a professional editor. Even those authors who are self-published, who even traditionally published, who have hundreds of books, they use professional editors because...
Do you use a professional editor?
Yes, I do. Yep. And I believe she lives in New Hampshire. I love her. She's great. And I got her through my writer friends. I have a couple of editors that they passed along the name to me. And I have looked at their books, and editing was not something that came up as criticism.
Good. What are two of your favorite books that listeners will like?
The Ball at the Circus or The Balloon at the Zoo.
Good. Thanks for joining us today on Open Forum in the Villages.
Thank you. I appreciate being here and hope to be back.
Good. Thank you, Jennifer.
Remember, our next episode will be released next Friday at 9 a.m. Should you want to become a major supporter of the show or have questions, please contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. This is a shout-out for supporters Tweet Coleman, Ed Williams, Dwayne Romich, Paul Sorgen, Kathy Loving, and Dr. Craig Curtis at K2 in the Villages. We will be hearing more from Dr. Curtis with short Alzheimer's tips each week. If you know someone who should be on the show, contact us at mike@rothvoice.com. The way our show grows is with your help. Text your friends about this show if you enjoyed listening, or just tell your friends about the show. We thank everyone for listening to the show. The content of the show is copyrighted by Roth Voice 2025. All rights reserved.